guys, welcome to another session of Mini Chats. Today we're going to be discussing sexy dressing in the churches. So it doesn't this is a topic that I'm really interested in, because obviously people have different views on it. The elders have one take, the younger generation have one take, and possibly some people might say the Bible have a different take. So today we're just going to discuss it to see how we think people should dress, or whether or not we should have a right to even tell people how they should dress to attend churches. So sexy dressing in the church. So as discussed before, you can just follow us down here. If you have any questions, do let us know. But today, what do you think about sexy dressing? What should we be wearing to churches?
First of all, what is sexy dressing? I think it's such a subjective word that even to come to an agreement within the church as to what we can consider sexy can be very difficult. But my general opinion is that people can dress however they want to dress to church. As a Christian, we believe that we're led by the Spirit. So you should be, if you are led by the Spirit to dress the way that you are dressed, then hey, why not?
Which spirit is being led though? Okay, we'll get to that later on, because it depends on which spirit, okay? Okay, so what do you think?
I think to start with, we need to get the definition right, because as you say, it's very subjective, sexiness. I mean, my sexiness is different from your sexiness and different from some other sexiness. So there might be different kind of sexiness going on.
Sorry.
Sexiness going on, even with four people, even with the mates. So I think that first and foremost we need to get that right. For me, sexiness, it's very. My definition for sexiness is you can still be dressed up, but and still be sexy. But if you're showing too much flesh in the wrong places, then okay.
Wrong place.
Where is the right place?
Well, if you start seeing crack in your behind, start seeing tits coming out and stuff like that, that's the wrong place.
Okay, I don't know what church you go to. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
I think one of the virtuous actions that every religious institution advertises is to be modest. So if it comes to in any church or any place, you have to dress modestly. So when it comes to sexy dressing, I don't think it's that subjective to a certain extent. Like, for example, if you have your boobs out, I think everyone can agree, you shouldn't be out. It's
not, some people argue that's not sexy, that's vulgar.
Okay,
Literally, if you have your tits out. But I always feel like in the church, there's always a disconnect between the young and the old, as Minnie said.
Right,
so I could wear a pencil skirt up to here, see tits, but it will be molding my body, and the older generation would think that is sexy, that is inappropriate.
I think one of the issues is the context, which is church. I think that's one of the main things. Anybody can dress sexy. Yes, you can wear the pencil skirt or whatever and still look sexy, and that's fine. I think that is acceptable in the church as well. But here's the thing: when you come to church and there's a bit of a distraction going on in terms of, okay, everybody's just checking you out. Oh, see that babe? Okay, I've got a number. I've got to get digits, that kind of stuff. Then I think that is where the problem comes into play.
But does that have to do with the sexy dressing or just the man?
It's two ways. You can't. Yes, anybody can dress the way they want to dress to, but that doesn't mean that you should then distract we are vision prone. Do you say?
You are vision prone, but you shouldn't determine how I should dress if I want to come to church. The Bible, I think that if you're taking it from the spiritual context, the Bible says, "Come as you are," and some people take it literally, "Come as you are." It does say, "Come as you are." So if I come, and it also says, "Whatever I've got." So if say for instance, God forbid, my house burns down, and I only had left, and I really wanted to come to church and give my praise unto my Jesus, and all I had left was my bra and a pencil skirt. So you're trying to tell me I can't enter the church?
Oh yes, you can enter the church. That's fine. But if that's all you've got.
Everything burnt down. It was only the bras that were left.
But also, the Bible also says that when you come into Christ, you are a new creation. I mean, if in the old creation or in the old version of me, I was wearing a mini skirt, I just feel like as I grow in the spirit, it should actually, there should be a new me, a renewal of me. And sometimes I think our dressing that we take into the church is because we are unwilling to change who we are to meet with a new faith and a new path that we want to go to.
I don't fully agree with that, because sometimes it's not just that I agree with elements of it, but sometimes people dress like, it's like now church is like the new version of a club. Let's just say it's for some people. It's like we come there to look for husbands, to look for wives, to look for whatever it is you're looking for. So it's not what Jesus intended it to be. It's just changed so much that people, because 3/4 of people that goes to churches, they find their husbands in those same setting and etc. And most time it wasn't just spiritual, it was the appearance of what they were wearing that got there.
Where do you expect them to find their husbands?
Outside.
No, because that's the thing. You're like, for those women, as I was saying to her before, they're trying to find people who have similar interests to them, and the only place they can find her is in the church, and they know they have to attract these men towards them. So they have to look, well, I wouldn't say sexy, but they have to look good.
Okay, so but that's different though. That's different to sexy.
Well, in a way, it can be, at that point I would say it can be subjective, where a woman puts a red lipstick on and puts a red dress on, knowing full well it might attract a certain guy, but she's not trying to be vulgar. She's just trying to look very attractive.
Or she, because here's the thing, sexiness. I think there's a different component to being sexy. It might be your dressing. Even if you have a natural figure 8 and you're not even trying to show it, you can still come, and it can still come out. You see, it can still come out. So maybe your body physique, you are inclined that way. You are sexy that way.
Prone to be called sexy.
So
is that okay then?
There's nothing you can do to that. Do you see?
Yeah, I agree. There's some people that are so curvaceous that there is absolutely nothing that they can do to hide their body. And I think it comes down to what we talked about when we started this conversation. It's like we need to define what we on this panel are talking about when we talk about sexy. Is it just, showing your figure, or is it showing flesh, like, the skirt?
Yeah, if you're showing flesh, then that's vulgar. I think that is where we need to now to narrow it down, because if we're talking about seductiveness, if you're dressing to actually seduce, then that's a no-no. But in terms of the sexiness, there are different ways to be sexy. You can dress all gown and still be sexy.
How can you know if someone's dressing to be seductive? Because the only person that knows is that person. So you have to make that judgment.
You can tell.
And it's true though. Somebody can literally
Sorry, Shirley.
Somebody can wear like a whole big gown, and then all you see is their toenails, and somebody will still find that sexually.
Because they're like toes.
Okay, Minnie.
What I'll do, I'll give the
and somebody will find it sexy. Yeah, definitely.
The toes?
Yeah, the toes. Yeah.
Okay, but basically, let me get what the let me try and get a scriptural definition so that we can get it clear. Yeah. So it says in but I say to you, I'm reading from Matthew 5:28. Yeah. It says, but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Yeah, vice versa. So if you're in churches and you're dressed in a certain way, and your whole intent of going to church in the first place is to be spiritually connected, but if you're making somebody else lustful, what's the whole point of? Are you guys getting what I'm trying to say?
Well, I disagree with you, Minnie, because if you look at the scripture, it says, where is it? Is it here? But I say to you, therefore, everyone who looks at a woman, he's talking about the person looking at the woman, not the woman. I shouldn't make you sin. You should be disciplined enough to not be affected by how I am. That's what I'm saying.
So who's is it then? No, come on. Because the Bible needs to control yourself. If I turn up, you can't be like, oh yeah.
But you're partly responsible for that as well.
No, because I came in with my whole thing connected. I was connected. I'm like, today I'm going to get my praise done in a very cute way. You decide to sin, that's your business. I didn't know you were fetish with toes. Did I? True. I did not know that. I came in too, so what do you then have to say about that?
I don't know. We need to narrow this down to, what's the sexiness thing? The right definition for it.
So, for example, if a woman wears yoga pants to church and men not like they're staring at her, but they glance.
They will glance.
Yeah. So is it their fault that they automatically just notice the woman in yoga pants?
No.
And they didn't look at her with lustful intent.
I have done that before.
Yeah, so they just look straight away. Boom. It's not something they weren't looking with intent to lust after that woman. It's something that they just saw.
It's there.
I'm having a black moment. Why is yoga pants?
Yoga pants, you know, my gym leggings.
Oh, leggings.
Yeah.
That is not. That's just leggings. That is not yoga pants.
Well, the yoga pants are pretty much like
see
that.
through.
Yeah.
No, they're
not
not
see through.
They're not see through. They're just tight.
I'll look for the definition of yoga pants.
They say there's a part of motive there, as in the person actually dressing.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he's actually making the guy or whoever is lusting to them is making them sin, or is their fault, or is our fault. But everybody has a duty of responsibility, duty of care. If we're in a community, we should care for each other. And if the way you're dressing, you know, okay, this is me, this is the way I am, this is the way I'm shaped, and I'm going to church. Do you see? We're going to church. We're going to worship somebody else. So the attention should not be on you, even though you're dressing right. It should be on somebody else. And yes, I'm still praising and worshiping, but I'm still opening my eyes and I still going to and fro praying and watching. Do you see? And if my eyes catches something,
You actually be close anyway.
well, watch and pray.
I mean, even if you're watching them pray, there's
Watch
after
and pray.
church.
How can someone approach someone else in the church without lustful intent?
My point exactly.
No. I mean, what do you
No, lustful intent is like you just want to have sex and be done, but you want to get to know
them. I don't think that's lustful.
That's not lustful.
Yeah, but why I think let me try and support you on this. What I do think is that most times, especially I would like to think I'm speaking in terms of if I get dressed to go to church, most time men are attracted by certain things they see. It's what they see really. So if I'm dressed in like, I'll say homeless, but not like formal looking based on how everyone else, most men will not look at me because they're thinking I don't meet because in the world we live in today, the modern world, most times if you're not dressed a certain way, no one wants to take that person as their wife. It's no longer whether they can cook, whether they can do certain things. It's how you look
We're not
these
even
days.
saying you should dress to that extreme of the unsexy.
The homeless.
No, we're not saying that.
But it should be appropriate. The thing is, like, you go to work, you put on a suit.
Appropriateness.
You go to you go to school, you wear a uniform. I just feel like there is kind of even if that code is not written down, there's a code for dressing everywhere you go, and we should really be able to adhere to that. And I feel like within the church, knowing that you're in a church as a man, you should know that everything is not visual as well. The type of man the type of woman, you should go beyond the looking at somebody. The Bible is against looking at people lustfully anyway. So if you see a woman,
I don't think that's what most of the men in the church are doing. I think.
No, I'm not saying that they're doing that. I'm just saying that the pressure shouldn't be on women to dress like that in order to attract the men in church.
But the men dress really badly. I'm sorry, that's
when
not.
we talk about the sex, we're talking about both men and women, not just women.
Yeah,
that's why.
No, let me cover especially. I'm in support with
But
Shelly
the
because
thing is, like with men, when we're having these conversations, automatically we're thinking about women because men normally wear pants and wear a shirt. It's like the most boring dresses ever. I'm not trying to
we're not doing that today. That's not. No, but in support of Shirley, because I've been to some churches where it's always cover the women, and they say, "Oh, cover your legs, cover this, cover that." But the men sometimes they know they are size large too, and they wear small, and you can see all the bits printed out and hanging God knows where, and then they wear these tight shirts that the muscle.
Where were you looking?
I was looking up. And you saw all that. I was looking up. It's just I was saying, but they were taller. I'm short. Yeah, that's my justification. Yeah, and you can see all their muscles and everything. But what turns one person on, it's different to the woman. So if I see all your muscles hanging in your TM Lewin, hopefully he can afford TM Lewin and he will purchase even higher. But if he's wearing that, isn't that you making me be lustful and changing my...
Which is why we all have a corporate responsibility. Do you see? I mean, she's talking about the appropriateness. If you go to a hospital, they have a code of conduct, the way they dress. Even the mosque as well, they have the way they dress. And that's solely because this is the place for this. We are coming here to focus on somebody else. Yeah. Okay, and yes, you can dress. Every man is not the same. Do you see? We all have different inclination or different this thing. So you have to dress in certain way to fit for purpose, even though you're still sexy. I mean, there was I can't remember where I think it was in
about
First
modesty.
Peter. Yeah, that you say you should adorn yourself. So the
Not
Bible is
like
not even against
the external.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's not saying that we shouldn't dress. Adorn means beautify yourself. Do you see? But it has to be in certain content, not. And that's why I say my definition for sexiness is if it's not showing too much flesh, if it's not showing or too much flesh in the wrong places. Do you see what I mean? Which, yeah.
Okay, well, what we'll do, we'll take a break now, and then what we can do is maybe first to come up on what do we think should be modest or etc. So if we're all saying, okay, this is not appropriate, what do you think should be appropriate? So we'll come back, we'll take a break. See you guys in 2.
Comfortability.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to be comfortable in what I'm wearing. And I think that should go that goes for everything.
That's a really loose word though.
It's very loose because modesty, yeah.
Because everyone else felt comfortable when they came into. You must be comfortable to
No,
be
yeah,
saying
no,
that
no,
half
no,
your
no,
thumb
no,
is hanging
everybody-
out your bum.
What?
But I still feel that as a Christian, when you get out of your house and you're wearing certain clothes, and I have been there, when girls wear clothes, or guys, I'm speaking as a woman, wear clothes that are so tight that you can see their thong inside that dress, they themselves don't feel right. They will go and look in the mirror over and over again, but we will lie to ourselves and say, well, is that spirit that is telling me?
Welcome back to Minnie Chats, and I'm sure if you were with us earlier, you would have seen us getting all excited about the way you should dress in churches. So now what we're going to do is talk about what should be modest, because everyone's saying, okay, you should dress nice, and church is saying this and that. So what do people define as what should be modest actually, what's not sexy or what's appropriate? So, well, for me personally, I think, I like figure hugging dresses, so I would find that modest and I would find that appropriate as long as my nipples are not out and as long as my dress hits the knee, I think that's modest. That's just my definition.
For me, the Bible talks about the fact that we are led by the Spirit, and I believe in every aspect of our life we should be led by the Spirit, even in terms of the way we dress. I would like to consider myself as somebody who is mature slightly in my faith. When I started going to church, I wear certain clothes to church and I had no problem with it, and I still don't have a problem with it, but I've come to a point whereby when I'm going to church, my focal point is God. And for me, I always say sometimes I'm part of the praise and worship team, and one of the things that I say to myself when I'm going to church is like, when I stand in front of that pulpit, I want it to be about God. I don't want somebody to see my designer shoes or my designer top and be distracted, or be saying, oh, what is she doing? What is she doing outside of church that she can afford this? So for me, it becomes less about how I am dressed to go to church and more about what my duty is as I go to church. And that really influenced the way I dress. Even the way sometimes, wearing a pair of designer shoes, there's nothing wrong with that, and if I'm dressing in a pencil skirt, I still don't think there's anything wrong with that. But when I'm in front of that pulpit, I don't want any distractions. It might not even be sexual distractions. It could be anything, material distractions, because human beings can be very distracted by really petty things. And sometimes I will go with flats, go to church with flats and my hoodie and, my jacket, because I just want, when I'm there, everything to be about God. So, yeah.
I don't agree with the whole thing. Not the whole thing, but some of it. But I guess that's your definition of modesty, because I feel like the first thing, in terms of how you broke it down, in terms of what you think is appropriate, because I feel like everyone could say as the Spirit leads. I get that, but some people, the Spirit, they will feel that the Spirit, I guess it's about the appropriate Spirit leading them, because some people will say, well, the Spirit led me to wear this, that, and really, then I look at them, or somebody else in church looks at them and says, what would possess you to wear something like this to come to church? But it's just like definite in terms of that aspect when you broke it down. But I get the rest of it, but I
don't even think I gave the definition of modesty.
No,
I didn't.
Okay,
really.
I feel like when you broke it down, you're more or less telling us what you feel it should be, but not break it down in terms of its definition.
For me, is what I consider when I'm dressing to go to church. Sometimes it's not even about modesty anymore.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? It's about not creating a distraction, not taking the focus away from God. For me, that's what it is. You can dress modestly and still take away the focus from God because, you know, people are distracted, and it's not your fault that you've got, for example, you've got a lot of money to buy, you know, the longest Brazilian weave on your head or the nicest Gucci shoes, but people sit there and they watch these things and they can be distracted, and it's not your fault, it's their fault. But I'm saying, when I decide to dress for church, I take those things into consideration. It's not even about modesty anymore.
For me, it's comfortability. I have to be comfortable in the clothes I'm wearing, and that's comfortability. Yeah, I have to be comfortable in what I'm wearing, and I think that should go for, or that goes for everything.
That's really. A really loose word, though.
It's very loose because modesty. Yeah.
Because everyone else felt comfortable when they came in, so you must be comfortable to saying that half your thumb is hanging out your bum.
What?
That's what I'm saying. You must be comfortable enough to go to church and half your thumb is hanging out your bum and you think it's appropriate. And these things happen. I've seen it. Okay. I'm just saying, but you use the word comfortable.
Well, I'm talking for myself. Okay, I'm talking for myself and comfortability. But in terms of what you just mentioned, I think I've alluded to that in the first part of this stuff. In terms of it has to be appropriate. I don't want to be saying I don't want to sing your backside or anything. Do you see? Even for guys as well, it's very unnatural, really. So that's what. So in terms of that, what I can flow with because of what I do in church or what I do, but it's not just church alone. Even outside, even in the community as well. There is no point being dressing in a way that it will cause. I don't want to go. Yeah, let's leave that for another time. But yeah, you have to be. In a very broad way, you have to dress in ways that, okay, I'm comfortable with this, and it's not excessively being, okay, I'm going out to get that, or I'm going out to dress this certain way so that I can attract this set of people into my life, that kind of stuff. Except that is what your purpose is for them.
I think, like, when it comes to the whole thing of what we define modesty is, obviously we know we vary from culture to culture. So, for example, I think it's more of a, common sense. You know that in your culture, there's certain clothes that are worn for nightclubs. So why would you wear that kind of clothing to church if you know you're going to wear it to work or to a casual social affair? So I think at that point is where you can class something to be not modest, or not right for a church, because that person wouldn't wear it in any other place that doesn't accept any of that kind of clothing. So does that make any sense?
No,
yeah, if I can even go along with your point, I mean, if you go for any of these dinner, black tie, you say black tie, dinner, black whatever, you know, there is whatever dress you wear, it has to be of a certain caliber. It has to be
formal, or
it has to be formal.
Yeah.
I think most of it is more derived from the individual, because you do have some individual where you tell them black tie, or you tell them formal, or even in the workplace where you see some skirts. They're wearing a whole suit, and the half of the skirt is just like, it just literally ends where the bum, where the derriere, just literally there. So you do have those cases. So
to be honest with you, I think sometimes we try to be very dishonest, especially those of us that are Christians. You know, we like to go with the flow, and we like to say, well, this is how the Spirit led me. If you came to Christ maybe 5 years ago and you are still the same person that you are, then you need help, because you haven't transformed in any way or any form. For me personally, I don't like judging people. For me, it's not my place to judge what somebody else is wearing. But I still feel that as a Christian, when you get out of your house and you're wearing certain clothes, and I have been there, when girls wear clothes, or guys, I'm speaking as a woman, wear clothes that are so tight that you can see their thong inside that dress, they themselves don't feel right. They will go and look in the mirror over and over again, but we will lie to ourselves and say, well, is that Spirit that is telling me? If we are being honest about, unless you don't believe in your faith and you don't believe that God can transform you, if you're not a Christian, fair enough. But me as a Christian, for me to sit down and say believing in God will not transform me as a human being, and me adopting my whole lifestyle, including my dressing, to fit that new life that I'm in, then Christianity is not for me. Because literally I'm saying that I'm going to be who I am, and that faith is not going to adjust anything about me as a human being.
I agree.
I don't think it's about the person, like, not in a sense. Like, I think that this is where the person has a dilemma where, I want to go to church to worship God, but at the same time, I want to find a husband.
And I want to be sexy.
Yeah. So it's like, if I dress this way, I know I'm going to get a man's attention.
Well,
I think that's what Shirley said. 5 years you're in the faith. Because because most of them I've realized is a lot of people, they go to church, their intention may have been originally to find a husband and to find a wife. But as they gradually go to church and they listen to the word and then they understand what the word is, and the spiritual, they grow deeper into the faith. And by the time we go deeper, as Shirley said, certain things should change.
And can I answer your question?
Okay, that is true.
Let me answer your question. If you're talking about the women growing in the faith, you're also talking about the men growing in the faith.
Right.
Which means that once upon a time, they look at a woman in a really tight, short dress, and for them, that's what attracts them. But as a man that is also growing in the faith, you should come to a point whereby it's beyond seeing a woman's thigh for you to be attracted to. So if I believe I'm in an environment whereby I know that I can't dress with my tit hanging out, and I know for a fact, even if I dress with my tit hanging out, the guys in the church are not even going to pay attention to me. They might look at me like, oh, okay, her tits has, but I'm not the woman that they want to even build a home with, because we're both in an environment where.
I don't know if I agree with that bit. I get everything you said, because now the way I see it, in the world especially, even because the men that are in the church, they come from the world, vice versa. What I've noticed that men these days, not all men, and I'll make that very clear, is that they prefer to have the Kim Kardashian look-ins and the ones who have the Kim Kardashian bits out.
Well, I'm not looking for those men.
Which is true. But what I've realized is that they prefer to marry those type. It's like the other day I was in church, New Year's Day. I was in my church and I was staying with my friend. And all the men that walked in were fully dressed. Like, when I mean fully dressed from head to toe, like nothing bits. The only thing you might see is their hands, their fingernails, like literally. When the women were rolling in now, you saw like, you can see things through, you can see tongue, you can see every bit. And then I said, and he was like, oh, why the women dressed like that? I was like, but you know full well that you would marry those women before you pick that woman over there that's fully dressed. And literally they were like, you do have a valid point, because that's, even though the men are in the churches now, they still want that kind of Kim Kardashian or whatever Kardashian looking alike.
I wouldn't say the Kim Kardashian.
I'm not saying, but your point is not. Yeah,
it's the fact that men are visual. So men, for a man to know what he likes, he has to say. It doesn't mean when that guy approaches that woman, he's approaching that woman just because he saw her thumb. He's like, okay, I see what I like. I want to get to know her more. I want to see what she does, what she's like, what her interests are. It's not just only that one thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If that's the point, no. Do you get what I mean? Like, for me, like, I can dress appropriately and nobody would dispute that. I'm sorry, I think I'm a good looking girl, okay girlfriend. I don't have to push my boobs out here, although if you go through my Facebook you might see some
But okay, fine. But there's some women who would think, if I push my bra up and it looks like I have a bigger boob, like, this guy will talk to me.
But then that's the problem.
Picking their interest, you mean?
Picking it. Yeah, it's not necessarily that it's just they're doing it for just sex, but they're trying to get more advantage. Yes, more advantage.
Advertising.
But for
marketing.
me, I just don't.
Exactly.
For me, as a Christian,
it's a competitive world for them. So
they're thinking competitive world.
So they're thinking, I have to do what I can to secure my partner. So they're doing.
Well, then it comes down to the type of partner that you're looking for as well. I don't believe all men in church are looking for, although the majority of them are, but that's not what I'm looking for in a partner as well.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And I don't go to church to compete. Hey, I believe that I'm the prize. Men ought to chase me, not the other way around.
Hallelujah, glory to God.
So maybe, that also.
Wait, so why don't you chase them?
Because I don't think I should be chasing a man. But that's another topic. Sorry. I'm not chasing a man. You better be chasing me.
Okay, now you just said that you think that you're the prize. Okay, then don't you think those women think to themselves, if I'm the prize, I have to showcase what kind of prize I am. So I need to show you what you're winning.
But if you realize that,
think yourself as a prize.
If I'm the prize,
though,
I am the prize. Whether I am wearing flat shoes or heels, I don't have to.
But
make
how do
that.
a guy
if you
know you're the
notice that,
prize?
but the gifts
If
are,
you don't
gifts
know
are
that I'm
normally
the prize,
wrapped.
then you're crazy. Like literally.
It was like, most people can't read these things when they just see someone.
Trust me, when the guy sees and he sees the prize that is in you, it doesn't take a push-up bra for him to notice. Sorry.
But as
But
I
a
said,
little bit of makeup and certain things that can nudge the guy.
a little bit, but not just overboard. Not like you're going swimming of version. We're just saying just basic stuff.
Right.
But it looks like this conversation will never end. But I think what we should do is find out from our viewers, what do they think? What is modest? And how should we dress to church? And really, what are our intentions when we do put on our clothes and our makeup to go to church? So if you have any opinions